In the service of arguing in favor of anarchism, I would consider the concept of the rule of law briefly. Now, the idea of the rule of law has been central to the conception of legitimacy of the modern state. It essentially probably derives from Republican political theory, classical republicanism. It's central to distinguishing the legitimate from the illegitimate states, for example, in Aristotle or Montesquieu, or the founders of the American Republic. John Adams, for instance, makes it absolutely central to the conception of a legitimate state. The idea is, there's a couple different aspects of it, but one is that no one is above the law, which is a little cliche that you'll hear when the governor is being impeached and so on, or when we're trying to figure out whether to prosecute Bush for war crimes. Another is that the state, and you'll find this in John Locke, for instance, must rule through publicly promulgated laws that are applied equally to all citizens and give access to due process to those citizens in determining whether the laws have been violated. All right, now I propose to you that no state operates under the rule of law by those definitions. Not even close. In fact, that by definition, state power cannot operate under the rule of law. So consider, for example, the definition, maybe go look this up, the statutes on extortion. And now consider that in relation to licensing procedures, driver's licenses and so on, where in order to be allowed to, sell liquor, for example, I must pay a certain amount of money to certain people, right? Well, that's extortion under the statutes governing extortion, actually. It's just that the agents of the state are exempted. The state itself is exempted. Or laws against kidnapping. Now, when, a policeman handcuffs you and throws you in the back of his car and takes you off to jail, I think if you read the statutes on kidnapping, you'll see that it applies in that case. That is kidnapping under those statutes. It's just that the agents of the state are exempted from the laws against kidnapping, at least insofar as they're performing their state-authorized functions. Or again, and here we get to the heart of the possibility of the state, coercive taxation is theft according to the laws against theft. Okay, so the whole IRS bureaucracy, every person in it, is engaged in theft according to the laws that the state promulgates. Finally, the state exempts its own agents from laws against the use of deadly force, laws against murder. So you can't have, police power resting on deadly force or military power central to the conception of the modern state without exempting the agents of the state from the laws against murder. That is, no state, by definition, can hold that no one is above the law. Now, of course, you could jerry-rig these laws in order to exempt certain people from them, but that makes the idea of the rule of law the merest mockery. It is the merest mockery. It's contradictory to the basic nature of the state. Now, let me say that a state that operates by relatively uniformly applying publicly known laws by publicly known procedures to most of its citizens or the non-state agents is better than one that does not. You can predict what's going to happen. You can, it's fairer than rule by arbitrary decree. And a state that has some procedures, at least, for holding state agents responsible for egregious abuses of their power, is better than one that does not have such procedures. So impeachment, etc. These are good things overall. Nevertheless, right at the heart of the state lurks the notion that state agents are exempt from the most important laws that the state promulgates. And I say that this contradiction is irresolvable, and that the only system that's compatible with the rule of law is a system in which is anarchism. That is, where the laws are a matter of voluntary agreement. All right, so that's that little issue. That came up in my class on republicanism on Friday, and so I thought I'd hit you with that little bit, and maybe I'll hit you with other little bits as they arise.